All of us harbour dark recesses of violence and horror. I'm just a man hiding in the corner with a camera, watching.
Good evening. Hitchcock is not the film you might expect. It's not a biopic about Alfred Hitchcock. It's not about the making of Psycho. It focuses instead on the drama behind the scenes, partially the problems with the studio, because Psycho was doubted from the beginning. They didn't really have any faith in it. But mostly the tension this film put on the relationship between Alfred Hitchcock and his wife, Alma. First of all, let's talk about how awesome this premise is, because that's what hooked me just from the trailer. Alfred Hitchcock's fascinating. Psycho is fascinating. So basing the story of a nearly failing marriage around this is really interesting, and it's certainly pulled off. I should say that Hitchcock does deliver bits and pieces of what people were expecting and hoping for. It does examine Alfred Hitchcock a bit, and he is very interesting. It shows kind of like how he directed, how he found inspiration, how he acted with people, public and private, and a lot of times he's kind of disturbed. And I think you kind of almost have to be Alfred Hitchcock, but he never ceases to be interesting, like I said, and likable. What they show of Psycho being filmed is good, but again, that's not the focus. Instead of just kind of showing like how it was made, the few scenes they do show, for the most part, kind of reflect changes from the characters because of outside events. It's kind of like transferred into the filmmaking process, and yeah, it's pretty good. But most of the scenes on set are before or after the camera is rolling. The writing is very strong throughout. There are a lot of funny lines, jabs, and conversations, as well as some legitimate drama with great character-enlightening dialogue. The relationships between each of the characters, they're all well done and feel very genuine. This is incredibly basic for me to say, I know, but I was invested in the drama, and that's always a sign of good storytelling. The real selling point of Hitchcock is, of course, the performances, and 4 really stuck out to me. First, James D'Arcy playing Anthony Perkins, who plays Norman Bates in Psycho, kind of a multi-level thing there. He just nails the fidgety nature of the character, and he just nailed that smile. Just that smile is just perfect. And now I suspect that the actor Anthony Perkins didn't act like Norman Bates all the time, like this movie shows. But still, every scene he's in, there are very few, but the scenes he's in are just great to watch because of him. Second is the lovely Scarlett Johansson, who plays Janet Leigh, who plays a female lead in Psycho, Marion Crane. I don't know, I think she just brought a lot of warmth and positive energy whenever she was on screen. It's kind of hard to explain. And while there's some sexual desires from Hitchcock towards her, in the end, their relationship becomes a nice little mentor-student type thing, which I strangely found added quite a bit to the film. Academy Award-winning actress Helen Mirren gives another strong performance here as Hitchcock's wife, Alma. For me, she makes the relationship feel real and make it feel like an actual marriage, so in a way she creates the centerpiece of the film. You can tell she loves Alfred in their personal relationship, and you can tell she greatly respects him in their professional relationship, but when both start to break down, she reacts in a very understandable and realistic way. She does a great job portraying a woman who's married to a man, as she says, who is obsessed by murder. And yeah, it never really occurred to me, but it would be kind of odd and difficult at times to live with Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, like I said, he can be a little messed up. On a larger scale, though, I liked seeing how she reacts to her husband's obsession with his work, and it's an obsession that all great filmmakers share. It shines a light on the struggle my girlfriend goes through every day. She lives in Canada. The highlight of the film, as I expected, is Anthony Hopkins' brilliant portrayal of Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense. I don't know what to say besides he's amazing. I mean, he sounds a lot like him, he looks a lot like him, and he perfectly captures what I expect Alfred Hitchcock to be like. From all the interviews I've read and watched, he was an odd man, and Hitchcock's just incredibly dark sense of humor, and like I said before, his obsession is just perfectly communicated in Anthony Hopkins' performance without it being so over the top it comes across as an impression or even worse, a caricature. There's one scene in particular that for me just sold his performance. At the premiere of Psycho, he's standing outside the doors to the theater, and during the famous shower scene, while that's playing inside, he conducts the screaming of the audience. You know what? It might be worth going just for that scene. Hitchcock does have quite a few tiny little problems that do unfortunately add up, and one pretty big problem, so I'll go through those pretty quickly here. First, Alfred Hitchcock's problems are resolved in a less than satisfactory manner for me. I don't want to spoil anything, but it just kind of felt a little rushed and not quite deserved. A lot of the supporting roles became a little forgettable, like the studio executive, who never evolved past a money-hungry, studio executive. Alfred Hitchcock has a few scenes with the real-life murderer that inspired the book Psycho in his head, and they never really did anything for me. I know they're supposed to kind of represent his inner demons, but I feel like that purpose could have been fulfilled in a different and more meaningful way. I'm not really sure if they were necessary. There are also apparently a lot of historical inaccuracies throughout the film. While they did get a lot right, there's a lot of stuff, kind of they did artistic liberties with. But I really don't think it's a big a deal, as a lot of the critics are making it. Just like The Hobbit, I'm actually pretty upset at the critical response for Hitchcock right now. And the biggest problem with the film is rather significant, unfortunately, and it took me a while to put my finger on. It doesn't go in depth on any of its aspects. Yes, they look quite a bit at the psychology of Alfred Hitchcock, but it's nothing enlightening. Yes, they go a little bit into the struggle between the creative artist and the Hollywood system, but it's nothing spectacular. Even the relationship between Hitch and Alma, which is done very well, it never elevates above what a lot of other dramas do, which I felt it could have, given such unique people to work with in that relationship. This leads to my final verdict on my fancy new scale, which will look better in future reviews. Sacha Gervaisi's Hitchcock gets a 79. So yes, Hitchcock has problems, but in the end it has strong writing and storytelling, an interesting premise, and just exceptional performances. However, the problems do add up, and it keeps it from true greatness just by that much. However, it's still a very good film, definitely worth your time and money, earning a thumbs up. Now, if you'll excuse me, Mother is calling. No, seriously, I have to go eat dinner.